Hello. Thank you guys for joining me again this month. Um, I'm excited. I'm shocked the year's going by as fast as it is, but I am excited to spend the evening with you guys here. And then a couple hours after I get off here, I'm getting on a plane and I'm heading to Fall Fest in Minnesota, the first ever Fall Fest at Baldershoff. I'm extremely excited about it. It's going to be a great event. Everybody's coming out. We're getting, this probably is going to be our biggest attended Fall Fest yet. So I'm really excited to show off to the people who haven't been there our beautiful new Hoff to Balder. Yeah, if you are in the area, please reach out. On here or to any of the area folk builders, Brandy Callahan. Those people will get you set up if you can at all make it. There's still time, but yeah, we'd love to see you guys out there. If you can't make it to Baldershoff, or even if you can, coming up in October, we have Winter Nights in the Poconos. This will be the 10th Winter Nights in the Poconos. It's amazing. We love the camp we do it at. It's a great time of year. It's a really great event. I'm looking forward to that as well. So if you can or if you can't make it to Baldershoff this weekend, please do what you can to make it out to Winter Nights next month. We'd love to see you there in Pennsylvania. So we got a lot of stuff going on in the AFA in the past little bit here. It's been amazing to watch all the pictures of everybody's Freyfaxi events. It's been fantastic. Everybody's been really, really active this last month. We're doing a lot of good things. I hope you guys caught the interview I did on the Expedition Truth internet radio program. It was a great interview. The host, Reverend Ashcraft, did a great job. Those people were excellent hosts. And it's a neat program if you want to check it out. It's live on Thursdays. And they've got replays whenever you want to listen to it. But I've been invited back on the program. I believe that'll be Thursday, the 23rd of this month. And I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, those people were great last time. It's really nice to do an interview about Asatru and about what we believe and about our values. And I think this next one is going to focus on Asatru ethics. So I'm looking forward to talking to his audience. And yeah, stop on by and join us there if you'd like to. So as always, guys, go ahead and pop your questions up in the chat and I will do my best to get to them and answer them as best as I can. I'm driving Mandy and some other people a little bit nuts. And the reason is because I'm extremely excited about moving ahead with Njordshof. And one thing that always gets asked in these live chats is how we're doing on that next Hoff, where that project is at. Well, I am very happy to say that this is moving forward faster than I think a lot of folks thought was possible. We had kind of a three-stage process to getting Njordshof. The first stage was to pay off the additional loan amount that we had still outstanding for the last two Hoffs. You guys have been extremely generous. We paid that off. The second piece was we needed to make sure that we were making enough every month to support the Hoffs, because there's an initial expense, obviously, in getting a Hoff, but there's all kind of monthly bills that we take for granted and don't think about, like insurance and garbage and electricity and heating or cooling and things like that. But you guys have been great. We've done that too. We had one remaining thing, and this is the big one. Securing the funding with some folks to be willing to either co-sign or loan us money to get the initial payout for putting money down on Njordshof. I'm happy to say, as of this broadcast, actually as of a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a week and a half ago, we have secured from several sources the money to go ahead and move forward. So right now we're in the process of looking at and doing walkthroughs actually of Hoff properties. So we've done two, our folks in the area have done 2 walkthroughs so far. And on one of the properties, we've got a contractor / appraiser going out to check that out and evaluate what that looks like a little bit more. So we're moving ahead. We're moving ahead really quickly. The reason that we're able to do that is you guys have been really generous and really enthusiastic in your support. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Your AFA family appreciates it. And I know that Njordur, he appreciates it. This is the first Hoff. Certainly it's the first Hoff dedicated to Njordur in 1,000 years. I'm not sure of any archaeological evidence of Hoffs before then or when those might be. I'm certain that he had temples at one point. But this is the first that we know about. It's the first in 1,000 years, and it's certainly the first in the Western Hemisphere. So this is a huge thing, and it's a really exciting thing to be a part of and to share with you guys. All right, well, we got lots of folks in the chat. Does anybody have any questions tonight or anything they want to, hear me talk to them about? Trying to think a little bit about what we've got going on. One thing that I uploaded right before this chat tonight, while on the topic of Njord's Hoff, we have special limited edition t-shirts that we're selling for $30 a piece. It's not $30 for the t-shirt, it's $30 for the donation to Njord's Hoff and making it happen, and then you get a t-shirt. So the idea, I know 30 is a lot for a t-shirt, but the idea is to raise a little bit of money to help this project. It's a great idea. This was given to us by the generosity of one of our folk builders, Tim Dumas in Ohio. This was his baby, and he wanted to donate these shirts to us so that we could raise some money for Njordur and for his Hoff. So that's what we're doing. We've already sold some of those. So get them while they're available because they are limited edition. Appreciate you guys. It's on the store at www.runestone.org. There we go. Yep, Tim, those shirts went on sale, I want to say 25 minutes ago. We already sold 4. There are some lovely shirts indeed. Anna, I am bringing yours and Jason's up to you when I see y'all this weekend at Fall Fest. As of this broadcast, this very moment, we got somebody on the side asking how many members the AFA has. As of right now, we have 721 members. Joel, if you put in your order before I leave here, I can go ahead and pack you up a shirt as well. Okay. We've got a question about when the new Njord's Hoff happens, how's that going to change our current folk building districts? For those of you that may not know, we've got the world split up right now into 3 regions corresponding with each of our 3 Hoffs. Our international members are kind of shuffled in there the best way they can. It doesn't always, work the best for our international folks until we start having some international Hoffs. But as it is now, folks in the West and in the mountain regions of the United States, all the way up Alaska, Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii as well, are in Odin's Hoff region, right through the middle of the country, up into the middle of Canada, and all of South America currently are in the Baldur's Hoff district. And then east of the Mississippi, and including Illinois, our European members and our folks in South Africa are in our Thorshoff region. With Njord's Hoff going in Florida, It's going to change that up a little bit. Odentof's going to remain exactly the same. Let me look at my map here to lay it out for you on what the Neuhoff district. I'm sorry, we used to divide the AFA up by region, but since we're doing the Hoffs, it's districts, and it takes me a little while to get used to the new nomenclature on it. So Njordshof will encompass Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, as well as all of our members in South America. Yep, just wanted to make sure I was getting that right. So our folks in, I'm sorry, not South America, our folks in South Africa. So anybody in the continent of Africa that joins the Ask True Folk Assembly will be part of the new Njordshof district, and those southern Gulf states that I mentioned, along with Oklahoma and Arkansas. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. When did the AFA get rolling? The AFA got rolling in 1996. I'm sorry, 1995. In January, at the beginning of the year in 1995, the AFA started. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. We've been around for almost 27 years now. Okay, we got Connor asking, what's the status on an Austrue version of Scouts for our kids? Status is we've got kids too far spread out. Now, families in the AFA have really taken off. I'd say in the last 6 years, we've had just this huge boom of families and new babies being born into the AFA. Trouble is, so far, geographically, we don't have a big enough number of kids in a comparable age bracket to make up something that looks like a traditional scouting structure. We're certainly open to that, and we look forward to that when we get people closer together to where that's more of a real thing. We have been talking to some of our people about some kind of at a distance stuff you could do, but one of the best things about scouting is interacting with the other kids and really getting that interaction. So until we've got the right age range of children in the right areas, that's going to be on hold for a little bit, but it is something we would love to do in the future when it's a feasible thing. So do we have contacts in Iceland? Every now and again, we'll get somebody that reaches out to us from Iceland. Not a ton. We certainly don't have contacts in their official Ásatrúar Félaget over there. They're coming from a very, very different place, and they're very differently oriented than we are. But some Icelanders who want to authentically worship our gods have reached out to us, and we have talked to those people. We don't currently have any members in Iceland, but if you're listening and you're in Iceland, we'd love to have you join our AFA family and have you be part of what we're doing. That's great that you would like to see a Hoff in Newfoundland. We would love to see that too. We'd love to get a Hoff in every state and every province. We would certainly need to beef up our membership there. And if you know folks, and if you want to be a part of what we're doing, we would love to have more Canadian members. Trouble is we get population in Canada is so spread out that when we get a Canadian member, and we have some very successful areas, a lot of it in British Columbia. We've got some good folks in Ontario. But when we get Canadian members, they find themselves alone, and then they kind of drift away. And if they stuck around and helped us, they'd be around when that next guy joins, and we could build a solid base to grow from. So we'd love to see that in Canada. And yeah, as soon as we get a good enough mass of folks up there to support it, we'd love to have a Hoff up there. How many members in Scandinavia? Without trying to run a search here while I'm running this with everybody, I'm going to go ahead and say that we have approximately 25, 30 members in Scandinavia currently. Okay, we got Dracula asking, what's the AFA's position on animal sacrifice and why I think that's um, sacrifices have decreased over time. So fundamentally, the AFA doesn't have a great problem with animal sacrifice. Typically, I'd say one of the reasons that folks don't do that in this day and age is because very few of us are involved in the raising of livestock. Back in the time of our ancestors, livestock was a common profession of so many of our people, and people were very connected to that. There was a lot of herdsmanship, and that was very connected to people's livelihood and their daily life. That certainly has decreased over time. Obviously, in the intervening 1,000 years of Christianity, we've, as a people, become very unfamiliar with that idea. And when people talk about animal sacrifice, I think they mean a lot of different things. So let me clarify. The AFA is certainly okay with the humane and responsible slaughtering of an animal for a sacred purpose. And as our ancestors always did, you take that animal and then you share it in a feast amongst the folk. The difference between that and the dinner that most of us, certainly all of us who are not vegetarians, eat, is that animal would be slaughtered in a sacred environment, in a sacred way with holiness to it, and then shared amongst the folk, as opposed to in a factory farm setting like so much of our meat comes from. But I think people have become very distant from that. Just in the past few generations here in the United States and in Europe, few people hunt anymore. Few people fish. So many of us now have very little connection to the food that we consume or to the act of taking a life so that we can eat. And I think that that's made us quite disconnected from the headspace of our ancestors when they performed animal sacrifices. We got a question about the homeschooling project. How's that coming along? Slowly but surely. We've had a lot of great people working on that. Brandy Callahan has made some progress. We now have some significant resources, certainly for kindergarten age students, and we're working on building that up. It is going slowly, but it is moving forward, and I love seeing that. I know we've got very many of you interested. I know, especially in the situation we face in the world today, so many of us don't want to have our children in public schools and are very concerned about that, myself included. So we're working hard on it, and we're going to keep pushing that forward. If you want to volunteer, you want to help, or you want to take part in those resources, please reach out to Brandy Callahan, B. Callahan, at runestone.org. She would love to have help, and she'd be happy to share with you what we have so far. Okay, we have somebody mentioning that they feel like they're walking on eggshells talking about oustry with Europeans because Europeans tend to be so very liberal. I completely understand that. Europeans tend to be much more liberal, and people who identify as pagans in Europe are extremely liberal often. But our AFA membership that we found are not that way. I've been fortunate enough to travel to Europe twice now with the AFA, once to Denmark and once to Sweden. And the folks we ran into there in our membership there are not like those folks. They tend to have traditional values and be very traditional people. And we've got some great folks over there. It's hard and you got to know where to find them, but there's some great Austrichur in Europe, and I'd encourage more of them to join us. But yeah, I see what you're saying, and it is difficult. we've all probably had negative experience with Europeans that claim to be Asatru and have values quite askew to ours. Tim, everybody's loving your shirts. They look great. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are coming out and supporting Njord and getting those shirts. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tim, for making that possible for us. Great. We got somebody in the chat that's gonna show up to Baldershof this weekend. It's a good point. So one of our folk builders pointed out in the chat and wanted me to touch on this. We live in a really important time. We have the ability now to set patterns of growth for the future of our folk, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our grandchildren's grandchildren. We're in a time now where we're establishing these Hofs. We're building this AFA and making it something truly amazing. And we're planting seeds for the trees that our grandchildren will be able to take shade under. Sometimes literally, that's what we're doing. It was a huge thing for me. I had coming into Asatru when I did, been Asatru for about 20 years. The dream of having one Hof, was this distant goal in the future that maybe someday we could have. I wanted that so bad for myself. I wanted it for us. I wanted it for the future. And to be living in a time where we have 3, almost soon to be 4 Hofs, it was really special this last year to watch my daughter. She's been able to make it to 2 of our Hofs so far, but to watch her playing at Odenshof out in the yard of that property. And it just dawned on me like this, we're living the dream. My daughter grows up in a world and she'll never know a world that doesn't have Hofs to our gods. And that's a really special time that we're part of. And we're building that for the future and we're doing it together. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. I'm excited to be part of that with you guys. We do not have a motto locked down for Njordshof yet. It's something those guys have talked about. We've had a few locals there with some suggestions. If you've got ideas or suggestions, you can reach out to Lane Ashby. He's our point man on it. He's also in the chat tonight. And yeah, he already did respond over there. Henry, I will try to remember to bring your shirt to Fall Fest. If you remember to send me an email about it, you've got a better chance of me remembering. Okay, we got somebody asking if there's any thoughts or plans on establishing or preserving groves. Not at this time. Not opposed to that, certainly, and I think there's opportunity for that. I think so far though I don't know of any sacred groves that we've had dedicated in a very long time, our folk have been able to practice Asatru in nature and in the woods a lot, and that's great, and I hope folks continue to do that. The real change is for the first time in 1,000 years, we're able to practice with actual temples, with actual Hofs to our gods. So that's certainly our focus right now. But no, I think it'd be great if people had some groves. And I think there's a lot of beautiful things you could do with a grove space for worship. So there's no plans for that right now, but I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Crystal makes a good point. We do have outdoor worship spaces at some of our hofs, and it depends on what we're doing. At Odenshof, we have a great ritual vey outside, and it's surrounded by beautiful redwoods. I don't know if it's doesn't count as a grove per se, but we do have a space out there to worship our gods amongst amazing redwoods and amongst the trees and in that nature space. And I know a lot of us have come up worshiping the gods out in nature. Certainly when I lived in Alaska, there's a lot of times that we did bloat and ritual outside in just majestic surroundings. And there's something very, very special to that. Roger, thanks for asking. The fires always encroach on Odenshof and they always get close. It seems like every year we've got fires within 10 to 20 miles of the Hof. Fortunately, we've been very lucky. Not only have we been lucky, but I believe that we've been blessed and Odenshof has been spared and been safe for the fires. Not only has it been safe for the fires, but we have used it as a space when people are forced to evacuate from their homes in California, that they can come and take shelter at Odenshof. It also is a space that the folks there in Brownsville have used as a staging area for fighting fires. So it's, as far as things go in that area, it's pretty well defended. But yeah, every one of these summers until California gets it straightened out, we do have fires that get uncomfortably close to our Hof there. Okay, we got an interesting question over on the side. So when did you guys start doing memberships? We've been doing memberships, as far as I know, back to 1995. Um, Membership model is what's allowed us to advance and to grow and to be successful. And then he says, I'm confused about membership. Can we become a member, just a recognized follower without a monthly payment, or how else can we be involved? Just asking. Um, no, right now, in order to be a member and to be part of what we're doing, we do need our folk to contribute. Um, it's not something that a lot of our folk like to hear or that everybody's very comfortable with, but money lets us do things. It's how we can grow. It's how we can have these Hofs. It's how we can be a force in the world. And it's not just money, but a lot of the dues is about commitment. We have people putting, and there's a value on something and they're contributing to something. It's a lot more real and we find a lot higher level of participation. But what, instead of the standard membership dues model, what we've done for the past few years that's very important and been a huge key to our success has been the Hoftoller. And the idea with the Hoftoller is that you're paying a minimum of 1% of your income. Now, we have some people paying significantly more than that to help, and it's very appreciated. But if somebody's in an economic situation where the membership dues right now start at $10 a month, and if $10 a month is more than 1% of your income and you're having a hard time, 1% is 1%. 1% of a dollar is a penny. So there's ways to, if you're struggling, there's ways to do things very differently. But yeah, we do ask for our members to be contributing members that are helping us move forward that way. Okay, Cody's asking, how can anyone help with building our fame and our luck with those who haven't come home yet? A lot of things. First, participating in the AFA and being part of what we're doing, helping us get these Hofs going, is a huge thing to the world to see that we're real, that we exist, that we have a tangible presence here in Midgard. That's huge. If you are known as an AFA member and people associate you with the AFA and with Asatru, one of the best things you can do is be a noble, good person. Be somebody that we would all be proud of. If you look a little bit better than the guy next to you, if you're a little bit nicer, if you treat people a little bit better, if you say sir and ma'am, please and thank you, if you have manners, if you do simple things, But if you always try to be your best and try to present yourself the best, it helps all of us grow in our luck and our fame. And it helps bring people on the outside that haven't found Alcitra yet. It helps bring those people home. Because when you're successful and you're happy and you're doing good things and you got a happy, healthy family, they want a piece of what you have. They want to know how you've been able to accomplish that. And if you can, honestly tell them that the Alcitra Folk Assembly and Alcitra and our gods have made that a part of your life or allowed you to make that part of your life, that's powerful. And it's brought so many people home to the Alcitra Folk Assembly. And the more you do it, the more of our folk are going to come home. And not only are they going to come home and swell the Alcitra Folk Assembly, but they're going to have better lives. They're going to have better families. They're going to have better relationships. They're going to feel better about themselves, and they're going to accomplish more. So always do your best and always represent the AFA as best as you can. Absolutely, you can contribute yearly. Either through the Hoftoller, like I mentioned, can be a yearly thing, or your membership dues can be done yearly. Absolutely, whatever works best for you that way. Os, I hope that you can build a kindred in your town soon too. And thank you. I'm glad that you decided to join us. Glad that you're with us. Speaking of my daughter I was talking about that got to play at the Hof, here she is. We are very fortunate to be joined today by my beautiful daughter, Aubrey. She's the best little girl in the entire world. Look how pretty she is. Her mom's over there making faces, so she's staring at her, but she likes the video calls. And yeah, I'm a very, very lucky man and a very lucky daddy. But it's always fun to have her on these and while I'm talking to you guys. Good. We've got some of our folk builders, American Beowulf over in the side. Some of our folk builders are kind of reaching out. They're a great resource to help you get situated and help you figure it out if you've got questions. Do we have more community service projects in the works? Yes, sort of. And why is it important to do those community service things? One of the really important and really special things the AFA has been able to do is take part in charitable things in the communities that our Hofs are in. And this started by doing a food distribution. Originally, it was through the food bank, but now we're doing it on our own in Brownsville, California at Odenshof. With all the fires, and it's a really economically depressed area there. And the food bank reached out to us, and we, for about 2 years, ran the food bank's distribution in Brownsville and built our reputation with that community. And when the food bank decided to go a different way and do something different, we kept going. And now on our own, once a month, we do a food giveaway to everybody there who's struggling, who's hungry, who needs food. And it's made such a positive impact on the community. But so a couple of things about that. Not only is it a great thing for the community and something that really does help people who are in need, but it helps us. I think in the world that we find ourselves in, I think a lot of people feel this way. There's all these huge problems in a really big sense. There's a lot of things in the world that aren't the way that we want them. And there's a lot of things that we're frustrated by that we really don't have an accessible way to fix. And so we're stuck with that need inside to try to make stuff better. Well, when you go and you hand out food to poor people that are hungry, you are literally making something better. You are doing something. And to be part of that and to make their day, to help feed their families and their children, it's a big thing. And you feel good doing it. And it's something for us in a holy context at our Hof with our folk, with our AFA family, to be part of that and part of helping these people is an amazing thing. It's very important to us to be noble. It's what the word Aryan means, is it means shining with nobility. It's not just some kind of inner nobility, but you're noble and other people can see it. You're shining with nobility. And for us to help out in our communities and to be good neighbors says something about who we are, says something about who we aspire to be. And it shows our neighbors that we're a good part of your community, that we're good people that do good things. And that's been great. Now, at Thorshoff and at Baldershoff, we also do monthly food distributions. That's helped both of those Hoffs in Murdoch and in Linden. It's helped those communities and families in those communities eat. And as soon as we get Njordshof, we're going to do food distribution there as well. Something else that we do around Yule time, we try to have we collect toys and give toys away to local children and have them in for some cookies and some hot chocolate and some story time and some Yule things. Unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there that may not get a present because their families may not be able to afford it, or they may not get a lot of that Yule spirit. And so we're going to do our part, do the best we can to spread that around and to cheer up some kids at Yule and give them a present, put a smile on their face, put something warm in their belly. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing that. We also have talk that we may do some fall things this year as well, some like Halloween, harvest time, carnival-y things. So we're looking into that also. So somebody asked if it's an encouraged thing for people to post marketing stuff like flyers and stuff on bulletin boards. Yes, but be very careful. We would love that, absolutely, but make sure you're doing it in a place that it's welcome. We don't want to post things on bulletin boards and places that are not used for that publicly. We certainly don't want to litter. We don't want to become a nuisance. But if there's any spot that's welcome for those kind of community posts, absolutely. We would love, any opportunity that you can, either written or with word of mouth, talk about the AFA, encourage people that should be with us to become here with us, to be part of what we're doing, to become members of the AFA. And yeah, we appreciate the thought on that, certainly. Well, J-Link, you can't buy handsome. So if you got that, you're ahead of the game. Money comes, money goes. As long as you got the good looks, you're ahead of the game on that. Good luck to you, and I hope you make that income to get a woman and some babies too. Sorry, guys, just looking on the side, catching up with our conversation here, making sure I'm answering everything that I can. Looks like you guys are having a good conversation over there on the side. I like that. I like to see that. Cool. Does anybody else have any questions or things they want to talk about tonight? I'm trying to think of some other stuff we've got going on. As of today, we got a new apprentice folk builder in Eastern Pennsylvania, Jane Malseed. Her and her family have been active AFA members for a long time. They're part of the Lansdale True Folk Kindred over in that part of the world, and they're fantastic. Lansdale True Folk has Witten Clifford Erickson, Githya Katie Erickson. It's got the winner of the Folk Building Excellence Award for 2020 in Adam Hudak there, and now it's got folk builder Jane Malseed. So they're doing amazing stuff. If you're in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey area, she would love to help you get going and make some Ouse of True happen there. Can I talk a little bit about Njordur? Sure. So We have every reason to believe that Njord is was a very significant god to our ancestors. Not a ton of lore has come down to us, but we have reason to believe, when there's just a few toasts mentioned, he's always mentioned as somebody who's toasted to. Njord is a god of wealth and of prosperity, of success. So much of that to our ancestors and to us today comes from the sea, and he's a god of the sea, but not in the deep, scary ocean sense, but in the welcoming sea, the shore, and the prosperous sea that you fish in, and that you extract things from, and that you become wealthy from. He's certainly a god of success. He is the father of Frey and of Freya. He's a god of kings. The Yngling dynasty traces their lineage back to Frey, and Njord's Frey's father. I think it's telling that in our lore, Njord fathers Frey and Freya, which literally mean lord and lady. He is the father of nobility in that sense. So he's really a great god to look to for inspiration, for help, and to succeed. He's part of kind of the elder generation of gods. He is a father of gods, and in that way, he's even more venerable and even more special in that sense. He's somebody that even in after the high points of our religion had disappeared from Europe, in folk customs, the fishermen and the sailors would still, up to this day, make offerings, with varying levels of sincerity to Njord for success. We've seen since the rebirth of Asatru in the late '60s, we've seen many people who live by the coast make Njord a huge part of their worship. There's a long, long tradition in Florida of folks gathering on the beach and worshiping Njord and asking for his blessing and for his success. And I believe that's one of the big reasons we've been successful in that area, and we're looking really forward to establishing that Hof for him. And I appreciate all y'all's help in making that happen. Next holiday is Winter Finding, and traditionally it is on the fall solstice, or I'm sorry, the fall equinox, rather. The AFA is going to observe that on the third weekend in September. So, yeah, that's what's coming up next. The idea of that is the start of winter, the start of the hunting season. A lot of places, the start of us bringing our things from the outside in and gathering those in. It's time of the start of that in-gathering process. All right, what do I think of the Norrena Society? What I think of the Norrena Society and what I think of Mark Puryear are two very separate things. I have a lot of respect for Mark. He's always been a great guy. He's been great to me. He's treated me very well. I have a lot of respect for Mark Puryear personally. I'm not a fan of the Norrena Society. I think it's a lot of people that would rather criticize and theorize than actually practice Asatru. In my understanding, the vast majority of those people just sit around and bicker and pick on finer points of obscure lore and don't actually get out and worship our gods and actually get out and participate in things. I found that a lot of their membership are very cancerous, very toxic people that you don't want to be around. And so they'd rather be in their basement or their mom's basement and, again, criticize the folks that are out there in the arena doing things. So I'm not a fan of the Norrena Society. But I'm a fan of Mark Puryear. He's a good guy. He's a swell guy. American Beowulf. I'm not sure I understand the question. We do not have a Hof in Colorado yet. I would love to have one there. I'd love to see that happen. We have Odenshof in Brownsville, California. We have Thorshof in Linden, North Carolina. We have Baldershof in Murdock, Minnesota. And we're going to have Njordshof in somewhere in the great state of Florida here sometime very soon. T-shirts are going to be up until they sell out. What we've got is what we've got. So get yours now while supplies last. They're a limited time special thing to raise funds. So they'll be there until they're not. But yeah, we're going to keep them up until all of them sell. All right, so somebody is getting a question over on the side about my thoughts on the situation in Afghanistan and long-term ramifications for our folk who are veterans and then moving forward. Like a lot of folks, I am very frustrated by what I'm seeing in Afghanistan. I'm very frustrated at how a lot of things have been pursued in that entire process. If I were in charge of things, things would be really different, but I'm not. I think that when a president, when a king, when a country, when a leader, when a community spends the lives of its young men on something, that something becomes sacred to a degree. And once you've invested that, once you've invested literal blood into something like that, I think you do your best to honor that investment by victory, by success, perhaps by conquest, by something. But you don't give up on it. You don't sacrifice it cheaply. I think in the whole process with both Afghanistan and Iraq, our society at large has done a very poor job of honoring and celebrating our veterans and our warriors who've gone and put their lives on the line for that. We find a lot of charity and a lot of talk out there, almost treating them like they're some poor wretches we need to feel sorry for or whatever. We're not celebrating them as heroes, and we should. And that's really unfortunate all around. For our veterans who were involved in the conflict in Afghanistan, to our folks who were wounded there, our folks who lost friends there, it's a very hard time. And it's a very sad time. And I want in perspective, there's something to be said that our men volunteered to join our armed forces and went and put themselves in harm's way for their country, for things they believe in, for their buddies standing next to them, whatever the case may be. A lot of us have never done that. A lot of us will never do that. Those of you who have done that, We honor you and we respect that so much. There's something fundamental to being a man about that experience that you all share that many of us don't. And that matters. The fact that you were there and willing and you stepped up matters. Whatever the political situation is down the road, what you've done does matter. It matters on a spiritual plane. It matters to you and the relationships that you forged through it, and the life experience you forged through it, and the life experience that you can share with the rest of us, that we can learn and that we can grow. But I want you to know that the Alpha True Folk Assembly honors our veterans. We're there with you guys. And if you're a veteran, no matter if you're in the AFA or not, if you're going through something, if you're having a hard time, if you're struggling with things, please reach out to us. Please reach out to our Gothar. I've got a number of Gothar who are combat veterans who've been through some of the same things that you've been through and can help or can just listen. So if you are a veteran and you're struggling with all this that's going on, please reach out to us, and we'd love to have our folks talk to you. And if nothing else, be a listening ear. And if there's something that folks can say to be helpful, we'd love to do that too. All right, guys. Well, I have certainly enjoyed talking to you this evening. I got to get packed and get ready to head to the airport here shortly. Is there anything that you guys wanted to ask, or any last things that you wanted me to speak on tonight? As always, I love doing this. I appreciate you guys being here. I look forward to talking to you guys like this every month, and I'm going to be back talking to you guys again in October, hopefully seeing a bunch of you guys here in a couple of days at Baldershoff, and hopefully seeing you guys again at Winter Nights in Pennsylvania next month. Absolutely, it's possible to perform bloat by yourself. A lot of us started out that way. I would go so far as to say most of us did their first offerings, their first rituals, their first bloats by themselves. Once you do bloat with a group, it's not the same to do it by yourself, though. Doing a ritual, doing a bloat by yourself, there's a time and a place. Certainly there's personal rituals, little mini bloats that I think we all do in front of our altars by ourselves or just with our family. But it is profoundly important to us. It was profoundly important to our ancestors, together with our community, with our folk, with our AFA family, to stand as one before our gods and give that offering. And it's so much more powerful that way when we stand as a people. So by all means, please worship the gods, worship your ancestors, worship our heroes in bloats by yourself, in offerings by yourself. But don't let that stop you from being part of the community and worshiping with a group, because it's hard to describe if you haven't experienced it. But that's when this becomes really real, is when you're able to be there in that ritual circle with your AFA family, with your tribe, with your folk. It's a really special experience, and I hope to see you there with us. All right, guys, thank you for being here tonight. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the AFA.